today's session of Divorce Court. Terry Williams says first she only suspected her nanny of cheating with her husband, Larry.
I found letters that she had written to her sister stating that she wanted to know what it was like to sleep with a black man.
But when she found evidence,
I found my lingerie on the floor, a pair of her shoes on the floor next to my bed, and our wedding pictures face down on our headboard.
she had to know the
He
truth.
told me what's going on between you two, and she was like, he told you we've been together? I said, no, not really, but you just did.
What the devil possessed you to sleep with the nanny?
She ruined my life.
Today, it's the case of Terry Williams versus Larry Williams in this session of Divorce Court.
All rise. Court is now in session. Maybelline Ephraim presiding. You may be seated.
Good day, ladies and gentlemen. This is the matter of Terry Williams versus Larry Williams. Mrs. Williams, I'm advised that after 2.5 years of marriage, you're ready to end it.
Yes,
Want
ma'am.
to tell me something about it?
It's very simple. Due to our jobs, we were both out of town. We got custody of his children, and I stayed home with them for a while, and then we decided that I would go back to work. So we hired a live-in nanny, and she was in our home about a month. I came home one weekend after work, walked into my home, into my bedroom, and found my lingerie on the floor, which hadn't been there when I left town, a pair of her shoes on the floor next to my bed, and our wedding pictures face down on our headboard.
Your lingerie on the floor?
Yes, ma'am.
And you hadn't been there to take it off and leave it on the floor?
No, ma'am.
So the nanny had on your lingerie?
Yes, ma'am.
And what was Mr. Williams' good little explanation for all of that?
We found out at a later time that the nanny did tell him that I was having an affair. And I found letters that she had written to her sister stating that she wanted to know what it was like to sleep with a black man, and she was going to accomplish that at any cost. And she didn't care who she hurt.
That's what the nanny said?
That's what she wrote in a letter to her sister. The day I confronted her was the following weekend. I came back again, and the wedding pictures were down again on the headboard. I asked him...
Wait a minute. You didn't fire her the first time?
No, ma'am. We had to have these children are #1 priority to me.
I understand that, but
their
somebody
cares.
that disrespects your home, disrespects you as a wife, you didn't fire that employee? You gave her another opportunity?
No, I was coming back the following week to settle things when I had more time. I was only home for like one day. And I came back the following week.
You exercise that much restraint?
Well, those kids can't stay there by themselves. That's more important than
and you didn't
us
have
adults.
time to find another nanny?
No, I only had several hours at home. And the next weekend when I came back and I found the wedding pictures again face down on our headboard, I asked him if there was anything going on, and he said no. I went into her bedroom where she was at, and I said, listen, I said, he told me what's going on between you two, and really, I don't care. All I care about is the kids. And she was like, he told you? I was like, yes, he did. And she was like, he told you we've been together? I said, no, not really, but you just did. Thanks.
Oh, really? So you played smart detective then?
Yeah.
So the woman said, you found a letter where she wrote her sister
Right after that, I went through her
will have an affair with a black man and find out what it's like to sleep with a black man at any cost.
Yes, I found that right after that.
Meaning the betrayal of your trust.
Yes, and the destruction
And you
of my
participated
marriage.
in such conduct, Mr. Williams?
Yes, I did.
Really?
I had no idea about the lingerie or the letter or any of this other stuff she was talking about. She was saying that there was a letter found that she'd written her sister. She
Forget
told
about
me
the
this
letter.
after
Forget about the
fact.
lingerie. What the devil possessed you to sleep with the nanny?
Well, I've heard several rumors from her friends and mine, the nanny and the neighbors, that she was seeing other people also.
Of course.
Oh, so you
the
decided
nanny
to play
told him
tit for tat?
Not exactly.
Well,
My
I just
reasons
asked
for
you
it is,
why.
I mean, we worked for the same company. We got home at the same time. We had the same dispatcher. They said, you know, when we wanted to get home, we planned to be home together. I get home, wonder why she wasn't there. They tell me because she requested her time off somewhere else.
So is this your justification for the nanny?
My justification for the nanny is she didn't want to be there with me. She didn't want to be home, obviously.
And then I'm
making money to take care of our family.
I did not, well, that was not planned, as I would say. That wasn't a planned thing.
It just happened.
Yeah, it just happened.
He's very naive. He's very naive, and he believed her.
By her friends and the nanny that she was seeing other people. She came home and bragged to one of our neighbors who lived upstairs from us before and asked, you know, about some guy she met while she was out driving, and she asked the neighbor a question which really didn't make much sense to me. Is it wrong to kiss another man?
We weren't even friends with any of the neighbors.
Why would you go to someone else, and you're supposed to be a married woman? Why would you be out kissing another man in the first place?
You heard that from the nanny.
Prior.
You heard that
this
from
was
her.
All prior.
Of course she's
So
going to lie.
why didn't you confront your wife about that issue?
I did confront her. She denied it.
All right. And did you ever see any evidence of any reason for her?
No, I didn't.
No.
But you wanted to believe what the neighbor was saying?
The nanny.
Well,
He heard it from the nanny.
The neighbor, and her friend.
The nanny.
But when you confronted your wife, she denied it, right?
She admitted later that she did.
But when you confronted her on that occasion, she denied it.
She denied it.
We separated because of the nanny, Your Honor, and she did outright lie, and she admitted that. We caught her later, that she had lied to him purposely.
What do you mean that she had lied to him about what?
Told him that I was having an affair. She intentionally lied to him
So
and
even if the
misled him.
nanny told him
Right,
that,
and he should have believed his wife over some street corner whore that had been in our home 1 month.
She didn't have
because
any
that
reason
was all she was.
to lie about.
That's what she ended up to be, just a whore.
But why wouldn't she have any reason to lie about it? If your wife is gone and she's at your home and she's caring for your 2 children, which means that she's showing love and nurturing, and I suppose she's cooking, she's washing, and she's ironing. That's what nannies usually do. She's doing this.
This one.
Your wife is gone, and she has this fantasy about having a relationship with a black man. You tell me she has no reason to lie?
I didn't know about this.
He didn't know about the letter until I
didn't even know about the letter.
Not till after.
I
And that's
never even
true.
knew about
I
this
Couldn't
found
letter.
it
figure
later.
out that she didn't have a reason, that she wasn't setting you up?
No.
He thought that
But even
I had no
nobody
reason to
could do
believe she
that.
was setting me up.
But even if she told you that, automatically you accept her word and you decide, okay, well, she's having one, you and I can get together?
Well, that and the reasons that, I mean, I'm talking about before the nanny was telling me anything, I was wondering why she wasn't coming home.
I was home every
you were
weekend, and I can
And my
prove that on my logbook.
dispatchers were telling me she requested her time off somewhere else other than home.
So you
We don't
already
see
thought
each
that she
other.
was going out with somebody
Yes.
else. And so you decided that you'd try a little bit of yourself,
I was
right?
home every weekend,
Actually,
Your
yeah.
Honor, and I can prove that on my. We have to
If I
keep
found-
a
Why would your nanny tell him that?
Because she's retarded.
Why would your dispatcher tell your husband that?
I don't believe that ever occurred.
You don't believe that
No,
ever
ma'am.
occurred?
Because we were home together every single. She was only in our home a month. That was
One
it.
month?
1 month.
Did
we
you
only
know
had
this
4
woman
weekends.
before?
I know her family. I did not know her. And
So
she
you didn't
came
know
to
what
us,
kind of character she had?
No, ma'am. She told us that she was a Christian girl and wanted a good family, and she wanted to participate in a nice church. And, you know, we discussed it. We decided together to do this. And she decided that she wanted my husband, so she was going to, and just like she wrote in that letter, at any cost. She didn't care
even
who
if
she
it
hurt.
destroyed the family, even if it destroyed the children.
Yeah. She had she had no care for those
she
children.
had this letter so long. Now, if she had this
I
letter
never had
for the
it.
period of time that she had it,
I never took it. I should
So-
have, and I never did. I was so angry and so hurt.
you
My
said-
life
where did
was
you find
over.
this letter?
she's seen this
In
letter.
her suitcase. I
never-
went through her luggage that day. My life was over. I mean, I couldn't even think rationally. My whole dream of a family together, raising your 2 children.
And the 2 of you don't have children together?
ma'am. No.
So you accepted the responsibility for his
I love his children. Especially his son, who has been a part
you
of our
were
life
willing
for
to
years.
risk all of that?
I thought she was
He
cheating.
thought I was cheating.
Yana,
He really
I thought
did.
she was cheating.
When divorce court returns, Terry makes a plea.
I paid her prostitution fees because that's what she was. I want my half of the nanny's salary back.
Are you involved in a dispute with a neighbor, friend, relative, or business person? Take your case to a new court show and be represented by a prominent attorney. Call 877-777-0099. Divorce court is back in the case of Terry Williams, who's divorcing her husband Larry after he admitted having sex with their nanny.
But even if she thought she was cheating, Mr. Williams, you got to weigh it. Even if you thought she was cheating, you didn't catch her doing it. You didn't have any evidence of it. It's just somebody saying it. Your wife denied it. She's a good wife.
But
She's
she
on the
admits it
road
later.
trucking.
She
She's
admitted
taking
it.
care of your children. You risk all of that.
She
and you
didn't,
had a plan.
believed
she
the
didn't
nanny.
admit it at
He
first.
believed the
No, she
nanny.
didn't admit anything at first, but she did admit later
Not that I
she
had
was
an
seeing
affair.
other people. You admitted to me that
So
you
are
were
you
seeing other
denying that
people.
you ever had any
I
outside
never
affairs?
ever had an affair. I never cheated on him.
You
I
just
saw
kissed him? What you
somebody-
call it?
I didn't kiss him. Well, I kissed one man. Yes, I did.
So you risked your family.
Yes, I did by kissing somebody. I did, and it was just a 1 second thing, and I was like, "What am I doing?" And I went running
But
right
you
home to
got a
my
hold of
husband.
yourself and said,
I
"That's
went running
over."
right home to my husband, who I married and wanted to spend the rest of my life with. He's not a bad man. I mean, he really isn't.
It
He's
sounds
making
like
mistakes.
you had a plan. So now what?
We had a wonderful life together.
Was it
and
worth it? That's all I can say.
Was it worth it? No, it wasn't.
We had a wonderful life together, Your Honor. And I put into that month that she was in our home, $500 went, and actually what we did is we paid the nanny out of my paycheck, and that was a prearranged decision, you know, and we were going to bank the rest for our home.
She was not paid out of your paycheck.
Well,
she was
it was
paid
community
out of the
money,
joint
but
account,
it was
of
community
which
money.
was always empty when I wrote her the
It was
check
community money.
for her payment.
And
to pay it.
so in essence, I worked that time for half of her salary.
And so did he.
I paid her prostitution fees because that's what she was. I want my half of the nanny's salary back.
So you think you paid for her to sleep with your
I
husband?
did.
Is that what
I
you're
paid
saying?
for her to lie to my husband and take advantage of him being naive and trusting, and she ruined my life. This was my life, Your
Mrs.
Honor.
Williams,
I loved him more than anything in the world.
What I hear you saying to me is that it's all the nanny's fault.
No.
That she took advantage of my husband
She
being
started it.
naive and trusting. Your husband's a grown man.
Yes.
Yes, I am.
If he can take responsibility for driving a truck and following the rules of the road and delivering whatever goods he's delivering when he's driving this truck, and responsibility for marrying you and responsibility for 2 children, he can take responsibility for his conduct. Don't push that all off on the nanny. She didn't take advantage of him.
I'm not
he
sitting here
did what
saying
he wanted to do. Am I right?
He's not a bad person, and I don't want anybody to think that. He just made wrong decisions, but we all did.
So what are you saying? You want to forgive him for his wrong decision and take it back?
I can't. I've tried to take him back.
You don't want her back?
I've tried to take him back.
We don't have any trust in our relationship.
No.
So what you're saying is your wife gave you, quote, reason to play.
Well, I'm not saying she gave me reason to play. I'm saying I have other issues with trust in her. We've worked for 2 different companies.
And we've slept with the bridesmaid my wedding.
But you should have brought
you wanted a girlfriend, you could have picked another one.
Okay,
Why
and
my
you
best
slept
friend?
with some of the truck drivers that you ran into.
And you're
My
listening
goodness.
to
All right,
listening
let's
to the
stop
nanny.
sleeping around. Let's get back to the issue.
That has nothing to do with this right now. We were separated. As I see it, we were separated. I can see who I want to see. She can see who she wants to see. And that's what was going on.
But now I'm back to, that's you all's issue. That wasn't mine. I said, here's the court's analysis of what she's saying. And I want your position on it. We were paying for a nanny to help the marriage, to help us in the care of the 2 children. But instead, it hindered and destroyed the marriage. Therefore, I shouldn't have to pay my half. I need to be reimbursed. Tell me your position.
So she's not taking any position that she had anything to do with this.
I wasn't in bed with you guys.
When the affair happened with the nanny, it was afterwards.
After what?
This happened beyond when she talked about she paid the money, okay?
It was after separation?
Pretty much, yes. I had already made up in my mind we weren't separated.
She was sitting with you. She said it happened during the 1 month you had hired her.
No, it did not happen during the 1 month.
What? That we paid the nanny? She wasn't going to work for us for free?
The affair happened within that first month that you had hired her.
She was being paid out of my account because you kept spending the money.
She started working for us on the 14th of April.
Yes.
Okay. On the 15th of May is the first time that I came home and my life was destroyed when I found her stuff in my lingerie.
And I'm telling you, nothing was happening then.
But already,
okay, so then
she had
when
already
did you
lied
find
to
out
him
something
at that
had
point.
happened? When did it start? What's your date?
When did it start?
Mm-hmm.
As far as I'm concerned, we were separated because we had talked about it.
You didn't tell me when.
We didn't even separate, Your Honor.
When?
She is saying this happened in March. May. Okay, but I didn't start dating the nanny until June.
Well, maybe you didn't call it dating. When did you start having an affair with her?
Well, that's when I started having an affair with her.
In June?
Yes.
I thought you said she only worked for you a month.
She did, 1 month and 1 day.
No, that's not true, Your Honor.
So he's saying, by his calculation, she worked 3 months.
She worked for him as a, whatever you want to call it, after I moved out, when we separated. They were a couple. They were.
So you moved out after that month and a day.
We were not a couple when she moved out.
I moved out 5 weeks later.
Okay, but her point is she wasn't living there any longer. She moved out after that month and a half.
I moved out
and she didn't pay anything.
But in that month I did.
She did not pay not
worked
one
and my money went into our household.
Okay, hold on. You guys are getting confused. You're getting confused. I'm not. We're talking about the month and day that the nanny works for you when the 2 of you were still living in the same household. Mrs. Williams' position is I moved out once I found out. I left you, Mr. Williams, and the nanny and the children there. She's not asking for reimbursement for that period. She's asking for that 1 month. when she was there. Now you with me?
I know. I don't think she deserves it.
Okay, why not?
I don't think she deserves it because we were together at that time. I was not dating the nanny. I was not sleeping with the nanny in that period of time. I didn't start sleeping with the nanny until after I started getting all of these stories. She wasn't coming home. The dispatchers were telling me she was requesting time off, places other than home. I never got to see her.
If we were separated, why? You said you didn't sleep with her until we were separated. Why did you care about me not coming home? If we were separated, I wasn't living with you.
No, you're talking about what you want the money for is the time that you were living at the house.
That month.
All right, I've heard enough.
When divorce court returns, the judge renders her verdict. And an update on the case of Chantel Novak versus Chris Couch.
She was pregnant and she did have his child.
Divorce Court will be back in session in a moment. Divorce Court is back in the case of Terry Williams, who's leaving her husband Larry after she found out he'd been having sex with their nanny.
Your Honor, I gave him, when I moved out, I left everything. I slept in my truck for 8 months.
What?
And that was,
That was my choice.
That was her choice.
Yes,
I
it
offered
was.
to move out of the place.
He also offered to let me to continue to stay there while we were separated, and the nanny would stay, which of course I'm not.
Oh, that was a great offer.
No, he did not want to see me.
I did not. I did not.
He did
I was
offer
going
to
to move
out
out and take the kids with me.
He
And
said
why would she want to live in the house with the nanny?
I didn't say she had to
No, he
stay in
was
the
gonna
house
take
with the
her with
nanny.
him.
She was going to live there by herself.
But I gave them everything that I had worked for in our marriage, that we worked for together, and this ruined my
that
life.
I paid for.
I mean, this
But
destroyed
you're not
my life.
asking for all of those things, are you?
And that's why I don't think that I'm being too unfair
Well,
to
it's
ask
kinda hard
for
to ask
half
for
of the
something that I
nanny's
paid for.
salary. We worked together. I
Well,
never
here's
went.
my,
We worked
I'm
together,
ready
but
to
I
rule
paid
on
for
I
it.
worked the whole entire time we were married.
I don't need you to rehash that. You both worked, all right? That's been established. And it's unfortunate that what you had built together, what you were working on, and the foundation that you had laid, that you had to let anybody for any reason. You can't justify it. You need to learn to take control and weigh the consequences of your actions before you take action. It is the court's opinion that if you were paying a nanny for your children, which are not even her children, she had absolutely no legal right, no legal obligation to pay a penny for your children. She accepted that responsibility, however, but she didn't accept paying for a nanny to destroy the marriage. It was supposedly to benefit the marriage. That relationship didn't benefit this marriage. So therefore, her money shouldn't have to be used for that. So it's the court's position that you do owe her the reimbursement. And that's the court's order. Court's adjourned.
When divorce court returns, an update on the case of Chantel Novak versus Chris Couch.
You're going to stand here and hold hands in my courtroom and be lovey-dovey. You're still married to Mrs. Novak.
She needs to leave us alone. You know, we have our own life.
Closed captioning for divorce court provided by. Are you involved in a dispute with a neighbor, friend, relative, or business person? To appear before a real judge on a new court show, call 877-777-0099. And now for an update on a previous case in divorce court. Chantel said her husband Chris had the nerve to brag that he had a new woman and that he was going to be a dad.
She was pregnant and she did have his child.
And he brought his girlfriend to court.
She needs to leave us alone. You know, we have our own life.
You're going to stand here and hold hands in my courtroom and be lovey-dovey. You're still married to Mrs. Novak.
Chris wanted Chantel to pay him $300 for some collectible plates that she broke. Chantel told the judge that Chris pushed her to destroy the plates. The judge ordered her to pay $150. Chris says he doesn't want Chantel to find out where he and his girlfriend Adrian live and has been avoiding her. Even though his relationship with Adrian has hit a bump in the road, they are attending counseling to avoid a breakup. Chantel is now engaged to a man who sends her roses every other week. She says this time down the aisle, she wants to wear a white gown and not jeans and a t-shirt like when she married Chris.
The nanny was her idea. She chose this person. She told me that this was the right person to get. I wanted to look for other people, but...
I miss our marriage. He's a good man. A lot of angry things have been said and hurtful words to each other, but he is a very good man, and I do miss him, and I'll always love him. He's a wonderful person.
She trusted this person. She knew this person.
This whole situation has ruined my life.
She's playing Miss Innocent like she didn't do anything. But see, she admits to me later that she did all of these things, and now I'm forced to pay for it.
We had a wonderful life together, and it's just very unfortunate that he's so trusting and naive, because if he'd have trusted me like he should have as his wife, we'd still have a wonderful life together.
Do I regret having an affair with the Nanny? Yeah, I do. Because that relationship was no better than the marriage.